It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
So they served for over 100 years, a lot of people, all over the world, millions of people. What have they done in Schuylkill County? I'm talking about the Pottsville Lions Club, a great organization, like many organizations. But this is a club, I'm a Lion, I was a Lion, and I enjoyed many years of being a Lion. But today I want to learn about something about the Lions Club. It's always good to know about some great history, but there's a great event coming up that many of you may be able to participate and show your appreciativeness of what they do. Joining me today is the president of the Lions Charitable Committee, no stranger to the show, my good friend Jerry Enders, and joining me is Joe Mehalko, who is the treasurer of the Lions Club. And he's only been in this club 50 years, so he knows a little bit about it. Jerry, let me start with you, okay? First of all, thanks for inviting me, and thanks for having the show to promote this wonderful organization you have.
Well, we appreciate all your work in the community too, Sam, as we always talk about over the past 20-some years. So,
we're here at the Schuylkill EMS building on Laurel Boulevard, and I can imagine how many thousands of people this organization has helped.
Well, over the years, it would be hard to say, but you're correct, thousands of people. Joe has just been working tirelessly on getting all the memorabilia and that, and he found the original charter from 1923, and that formed the Pottsville Lions Club, and we were hosted by the Reading Lions Club, right, Joe?
Reading Host Club.
Yeah. They hosted us and nominated us to be a Lions Club in Pottsville. I wasn't here, Sam, and but proud to be in the Lions. I've been in not as long as Joe, about 25 years. But when you look back and you're mentored by some of the older Lions Club members that have passed on, I learned an awful lot about the charities and about the community service they did, from selling oranges and grapefruits and brooms and everything they did to raise money. And all this work and running the Pottsville Cruise was a huge fundraiser for 25 years. And all this work is done by volunteers that raise the money and then give all the money away. The Lions Club donates the money to the community, back to other nonprofits, the SPCA, Juvenile Diabetes, the local Pottsville Public Library, Free Public Library, Christmas movies, and there's just so much that the Lions Club has done over the years, and stuff they did before I was here that I'm just learning about. But the Toys for Tots, the veterans, they support the different veteran organizations. The eyeglass, Joe knows a lot more about that, and I'll let him get into that. But over my 25 years, I've been proud to be a Lion and work aside of people like Joe and Tom Campion and Rich Torpy and so many other Lions Club members that get out there and give their time, and they're always there to support the club. But the bottom line is the money raised is put into an endowment, and we work now off the interest, but we donate. But over the years, when the cruise, the Pottsville Car Cruise, was going big, and you were a big part of that, we were donating $18,000 a year to over 20 organizations, right, Joe?
Yes, at least that.
You know, it's funny because you're talking about this club is a very active club, my friends. At one time, it was the largest in the state of Pennsylvania with close to 200 members. So, Joe, you've been around for 50 years. Let's go back 50 years, okay? So what, you're 52, you're 62 now, so you were 12 years old when you started?
Well, I was only 2.
It was 2, yeah, 2. Tell me about, when you first started the Lions Club, what was the reason? I know going back in the 60s when I was a member of the Lions Club, we had a lot of fun, met a lot of great people, just people that had talents and they gave back to the community, okay? We always hear about giving back. This guy here, Jerry, I've seen him in action. I've seen where he has lost thousands of dollars of his personal money just to give to the community with the cruise, etc. I was there in his office, and he's just that kind of guy. But going back to you, in terms of why did you decide you want to get into the Lions Club, and how has it grown in your eyes?
It's grown tremendously, number one. How I decided back in 1973, I started a job at a local bank in the Pottsville area. And one of our directors, a gentleman by the name of Dan Gears Sr. of Gears Dairy in the Pottsville area. And Dan came up to me one day and said to me, he said, you'd like this organization, you really would, he said. And believe it or not, that was the start of it. I started coming to meetings back in 72, became a member probably the end of 72. And come 73, they were looking for a treasurer. And they said, why don't you do this? I said, sure, no problem. And in those days, I actually was the treasurer of two organizations, Pottsville Lions Charities and Pottsville Lions Club. And from then it just it bloomed, I guess you could say. We were doing a lot more ambulance work. We used to have board meetings at our old building on East Arch Street in Pottsville. And, we'd had ambulance drives every year that were 2 and 3 weeks long, that we'd actually go door to door in the Pottsville, Mechanicsville, Palo Alto, Port Carbon boroughs and stuff like that, just because that was the area we covered. As years grew, and the need for ambulance services grew, we went from 1 full-time paid driver to probably 3 and about 6 or 7 part-time. And then with all of the different regulations coming in regarding ambulance service and medical services, as far as that goes, we couldn't do what we had to do. You had to focus specifically on that. So that's when we decided we had to build a building, and everything from there went back in around 92, I think, 93, to ALSS. And what that was, Advanced Life Support System Services. And from then, we gave everything over to them, not the building. The building wasn't complete at those times, but, until the building was complete, and then they had leased the building office for a while, and then it became all what it is today.
Speaking of that, when you're looking at, having an ambulance, having a crew, my good friend Pat's here, and I haven't seen Pat in a while, and it's so nice to see him, but he's been very active in helping people. How many see, it boils down to cause and effect to me is how many lives have the Lions saved in terms of having this, the ambulance in the service? You may not have an idea, but there has to be many, many people that you've been able to help because of the ambulance.
I technically have no idea in that. I couldn't imagine. It has to be in the thousands. Yeah. But I will tell you one story. The one night I knew a fellow who lived in an apartment back on East Arch Street where our original building was. And he would work a second shift like 3 to 11. And the one time he said to me, I know you're affiliated with the Lions. He said, I have nothing but praise for the Lions Club. But he said, is there something they can do about toning down the ambulance noise at 3 in the morning when they're going out in emergency? And I looked at him and I smiled. I said, I really don't think so. I said, because I'm more into the book end of it, not the actual, work end of it that way. But I said to him, imagine this. I said, if that were you that they were going out for, would that bother you? Or a member of your family? Yeah. And he smiled at me. He said, I never thought of it that way.
And that's the key is this. There's so many people watching this program, and we're talking about the Lions Club and to participate what you do in activities, okay? Because as Jerry said with the cruise, which I was flabbergasted to see how much you made on that cruise. And then I was at events that he was talking about where they were giving the money back, okay? But when it affects your life, all right, it's like the fire department, You hope you never need them. I hope I never see Pat, okay, other than in great situations. But sometimes when it affects your family and you're there for them and you were able to save that person's life, then all of a sudden this becomes very important in your life. So when you feel the same way?
Oh gosh, yes. The old days when we started back in the 70s, we used to have our board meetings down there, and the ambulance garage was right there, part of the building. And it was funny, you talk about changes in service and requirements and all the state laws and stuff like that. If they got a call, if the garage got a call from whether it be the hospital or a police department or whatever, the driver would be there and he'd say, I need help. How about 1 or 2 boys hop in the ambulance and, join me? And you'd do that.
And the thing is this, Pat, you got to be trained as well, right? You have okay. Yeah. You need trained people,
yeah.
Okay? And you said about regulations. Do they throw a lot of regulations at you now, Pat?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And you have to keep up with that. Okay.
Absolutely.
I always had fun going to the Lions meetings. I mean, we would have meetings twice a week, Jerry, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I mean, we at that time, we had like about 80, 100 members, you know, and it was a lot of camaraderie. You find the same thing. You meet a lot of great people.
Well, a lot of great people when I joined, and there again, I mean, Joe, he doesn't quite remember.
Except Joe, you said you weren't too happy.
Joe
with me.
remembers the days when they had well over 100 members, right, Joe?
We actually had 200, I think 25 at one point.
Wow.
And we used to try and schedule so guys could attend the meeting. There were fellows who worked the 9 to 5 jobs.
Yeah.
There were regular other fellows who worked jobs 7 to 3 and whatever. And we used to have the first and third Mondays of the month, and if there was a fifth Monday, there were evening meetings.
Yeah.
And if there was a second and fourth Monday, which there usually is in a month, they would have luncheon meetings for the people in businesses who worked and could take a lunch break and come over, and we'd have them over at the old Nico Allen Hotel in Pottsville.
Oh, isn't it? They were good old days.
Yeah, they were.
Remember Mr. Gallagher, the piano player? I do. Well, he would play. We would have Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Right.
We get together and we walk in there. He'd be playing the piano, and it was all a good festive atmosphere. And then we would get down to the projects. And at that time, I think still, they were helping the Blind Association, and it just so happens that my daughter-in-law, I'm very proud of, who is the Lori Lesante. She is the CEO and president of the Communities for Sight. And it was great to see when they was able to help them. You know, folks are going to take a break. I'm talking to Jerry Enders, not from the museum today, and not from the car lot, but he's involved with the charter membership in the big celebration they're having, learning a lot more about what Lions do. And maybe you should become a Lion. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Once again, thank you for making the Sam Lesante Show the #1 talk show in northeastern Pennsylvania. Taken from the scientific poll from Susquehanna Polling and Research. They were voted the #1 polling company in the United States. And all of our neighborhood program. Remember, we produce neighborhood shows, my friend. No one else does that, over 22. But we're here today talking about neighborhood programs. We're here at the EMS building, the Schuylkill EMS building in Laurel Boulevard in Pottsville, talking to Jerry Enders, who is the president of the Lions Charity, and Joe Mehalko, who is the treasurer, been in the Lions 50 years. The charter, you're celebrating in September 100 years of community service.
Right.
And your slogan is, "We serve," and certainly you do serve.
Right.
Talk about that charter, how important it is.
Well, we were so excited when Joe made the phone call to me. He said, "Jerry, you will not believe what I found up at the EMS building." And to have, 100 years later, to have somebody preserve your original charter is quite a trophy. And we were just at West Penn for their 75th, and they were thrilled to have their original charter. And Joe just tirelessly just has worked and been up here going through stuff. It's like going through a museum for him. He's finding all these artifacts and stuff that we're gonna have all this stuff on display on September 16th at our dinner. Anybody that would like to attend our dinner, they can give me a call at 622-9510. We'll send them out an invitation. But I'd like to go back and weigh in with Joe on the 200 plus members and when they had so many meetings. I think the thing that has helped us maintain our club, and we still have over 60 members, we adjusted our meetings to, once again, to accommodate our members. So now we only meet twice a month because it's hard to get people to take the time nowadays. You know that. So many clubs are down to 12, 15 members. And we're fortunate to have a regular, what, Joe, 20, 22 members at a meeting.
Usually 20, 22, and maybe sometimes 25.
Wow.
And they're engaged. We have guest speakers. We get some really good guest speakers. Pat's a guest speaker once a year. Brings us up to date on the EMS. But restructuring clubs, and I see so many organizations doing that. And so we restructured to 2 meetings. It's the first and third Monday of each month. So doing that, sticking to that, your members know when the meetings are.
You have a lot. I'm sorry.
But back to the 100 years, hopefully doing this, we'll go another 100. Joe and I will be there too.
Guess what? Jerry will definitely be there. Joe, some of the current projects. Oh, I want to ask you. We had the toast. You still have the toast, not above
Yes.
you, not above you, not beneath you, but with you.
Very good, Sam.
I met so many great people in the Lions Club, and they were all sincere. They were all there for one reason, to help. But talk about some of your current projects.
We have, we try and support the Pottsville Free Public Library. Years ago, when we were a little bit bigger, we actually bought a van for the library, the Pottsville Library.
I was
They had needed, for their book exchange, or what they call it, between local libraries. They were in need of a vehicle, and we actually, with Jerry's help and all, we were actually able to procure a van for them, and the Lions Club paid for that 100%. We do the public library. We do a lot with Pottsville in the area. Pottsville, downtown Christmas tree lighting and stuff. Pottsville Commission on Tourism. We do work with joint veterans. Every spring we'll start with the spring projects. We have an Easter egg hunt for the kids. We've also formed and reformed what we call our Lions Leo Club, which is open to high school.
Tell me about that, because we had the same thing. The Leo Club, that's a separate organization, right?
It's actually under our charter. Okay. It's under our charter. But the Leo Club, we just want to inform the kids as to what Lionism is all about and all. And since we worked so closely with the Ambulance Association and all years ago, and maybe Pat can even give us more of that, because I believe Pat is now involved in teaching some young people up at the high school. I don't know how often you do that, Pat, but I know it's quite frequently. And to get them involved with, emergency medical care and CPR and the basics you need, and possibly saving a life if you come upon somebody who falls ill.
Now, I see here also you contribute to holiday lighting. I know.
Yeah, we do the holiday lighting.
Toys for Tots.
Yeah, Toys for Tots.
Hillside SPCA, which I think is fantastic. Okay.
Yep, we sponsor a Halloween parade every year.
Yeah, I see that as well.
The kids in downtown Pottsville, and we also do a Christmas movie. We've been doing the past couple of years a Christmas movie for those who want to come, and everything is paid for by the Lions Club. And we also have a visit from the jolly good fella from the North Pole.
Oh,
and
Jerry.
Stuff like that. No, I
mean
Santa Claus.
Santa
Claus.
Anyway.
When you talk about giving money out, Jerry, how did if there's an organization that needs help, do they have to fill a form out, or do they how do you know what to get? Help?
Well, over the years, we had a standard, what we called a wish list of organizations that we help. Now, if they call the Lions Club or ask a Lions Club members, we take it before the Charities Committee. Years ago, people would come to the club and speak, and then they'd request money. But since we reestablished, about 15 years now, right, Joe?
Yeah,
since
exactly.
we reestablished the Charities Committee to help maintain a balance in our funding. So if somebody requests money for an organization, the Charities Board will meet. We'll discuss it. If we find it's a good cause that we can help, we'll certainly donate. And our donations aren't tremendous like they used to be when we had the cruise running, but we do $200 to $500 contributions. Now, right across the street, right over here, we donated actually a piece of land right across the street here. And we donated that to the Pottsville Soapbox Derby organization, and our name, eventually, our sign, we donated the money for that, will be on that building. And that is directly across the street here. And they were looking for a place, and that's a great cause for kids, for the Soapbox Derby. So we owned the land for many years, right, Joe?
Yeah, quite a few.
And we offered to sell it and that. And finally, one day, Joe and I and our charities said, the Soapbox Derby's looking for somewhere to build a pole building. So why don't we just give them the ground? So our Charities Committee voted on it, and that's how things happen. So we gave them the ground, and they have a building across the street. It's not an eyesore piece of ground. And Joe doesn't have to go up there and cut the grass anymore.
50 years is, Every club, I think, has a purpose, and they do their service. Whether it's the Rotary, the Lions, the JCs. I don't know if the JCs still in.
Mm-hmm.
Are they still the JCs?
Oh yes, sir.
Yeah, we used to, well, I was happy to be the president of JCs, but I think every club has Unico. They all have something to offer, and bringing back to the community. Looking forward, Joe, what do you see happening? I know this event on September 16th. Now remember, if you'd like to be involved here, give Jerry a call. We'll put the phone number on the screen, 570-622-9510, and the event is September 16th. When you're looking at the future of this club, what do you see?
Well, I see a challenge, number one. And the challenge in today's day and age is with everything that's going on, everything out there that needs help and stuff like that, is to get young people who are willing to make the sacrifice, to give up their time, and you're asking a lot. You were mentioned earlier about family. No matter who you serve, whether it's a local fire company, an ambulance association, a Rotary, a Lions, a Kiwanis, a JC, you're giving up time that could be spent elsewhere. But it is precious, and all I can say is we hope to get more members to continue this tradition and do everything we possibly can to keep it going.
Folks, I'm talking to Joe Mehalko, who is the treasurer of the Pottsville Lions Club, and Jerry Enders, who is the president of the local charities, and a big event coming up on September 16th. We'll come back and wrap it up. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks, 24/7, ssptv.com. Go there, you'll see a lot of great shows. I'm here at the Schuylkill EMS building on Laurel Boulevard in Pottsville, talking about the Pottsville Lions Club. They're chartered 100 years, September 6th. 1923 is when it started, and they're going to have 100 years. But there's a couple of events coming up. Jerry, let's talk about the anniversary dinner and how people can become involved with that.
Well, if they'd like to attend the anniversary dinner, we have a formal invitation here. We can mail them out really quick. Just call me at 570-622-9510, and as you say, that'll be on the screen. It's $50 a person. The money goes towards the dinner, and if we have a couple bucks left, it's going into charities to help other people.
You'll have a couple.
And we're going to have music. Dave Durbis will be playing dinner music and then some dancing afterwards. But what I'm excited about, and along with my colleague Joe here, we have a lot of great speakers. We have awards that are going to be given out and presentations to different Lions Club members. I'm just going to brag, but
I was just going to say,
got the
tell them about this
International President's Award for Leadership,
that's great.
which is one of the top 3 awards, and they'll be doing that night. But it's going to be a really nice evening. It's a formal evening, formal dress, and we're looking forward to it, ain't you? It's going to be nice. And we have these gift bags we're going to be giving to everybody that attends as a little show of appreciation for 100 years, and it's going to be a great night.
Congratulations. You certainly deserve that, okay? And Joe, it's nice to talk with you, a fellow
Nice to talk with you and
okay?
meet you, Sam.
And, we don't realize sometimes, excuse me, how important volunteers are.
Yes.
And you said the right thing. But you know what I found? I enjoyed going to the meetings because you meet a lot of nice friends, and it was good camaraderie with.
Yep.
So you have a little fun too. I know Jerry doesn't like to have fun, but I know you do have that fun. My friends, Pottsville Lions Club charter members, they're out here to help. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen where they have given so much, and when Jerry had the cruise and they were generating that kind of money, I was at a lot of events that a lot of people were happy about it. Now remember, 24/7 ssptv.com. You can watch this. My email, sam@ssptv.com. Remember, 24/7, only local neighborhood program. We'll see you next time.